So, welcome. Just make sure that you have, as always, blanket, blocks, bolster or cushion, anything else that you might want, like an eye mask, anything to cover your eyes, any comfortable bits, and any props that you might want. And then we can get started. So, we're practicing again, same as last week, spleen and stomach meridian lines. So we're working again through twists, which is really nice for helping us to ignite the digestive fire, but also to remove anything stagnant. And when we're twisting, we're working into the spleen, which is on the left side, to really twist and help to wring this organ out as well. And the spleen is our house of it's the largest lymphatic organ, and it also houses as a blood filter. So it's a really nice way of giving the circulation system a really good clear through, helps to transport any nutrients and nourishment more efficiently to the rest of the body. And it's working on just clearing the body of any stagnant sort of toxicity. So any viruses, any colds, it really helps to boost the immune system. The spleen houses, takes away the red blood cells that are old and need to be replenished, and it houses the white blood cells and platelets. So when we start to work into this meridian system, we're really boosting that function of the body. And especially as we're turning now from more warmer weather into slightly cooler, and the body's starting to slow down, we want to really boost up the immune system. So this is a really nice flow to do to help support that as well. So we're going to be working twists, a little bit of work through the inner leg line and the thighs as well to open. So we're starting in a wide knee child's pose with a twist. So you can either work with a bolster or without, but you want to come more towards the back end of your mat, so you've got a nice big space to stretch forward into. If you've got anything going on in the knees, just grab a blanket and bring that underneath the knees or behind the back of the knees, and you can make a little ledge to sit on and a bit of space behind the back of the knee. We're going to twist to the right first off, so we want to just pad the hands forward and take a nice stretch through the spine, through the arms. And when you feel like you've stretched out as much as you can either open and twist first or just slowly thread the left arm through. And then the right hand can stay either at the top of the mat, nice stretch through the armpit, through the side body, through the shoulder, or you can use it in front of the face as a post to help you turn if you need a little bit of extra support. Or it might feel nice to take the hand all the way around to the sacrum, right hand, or round to the top of the left thigh. So we're getting a deeper twist through the chest. If you need to add anything extra, maybe it might feel nice to add a blanket underneath your head, so it's not as intense on the neck, and you want to keep and then you can keep the spine a little bit more integrity as the head's lifted up a little bit higher. So we're going to do 5 minutes, just 2.5 minutes each side. So as always, come into the shape, make any adjustments, any fidgets, any movement that you might need to, and then once you've found a nice space to rest into, you can let your body just drop into that support of gravity. So the late summer is harvest time, and it's a time for a culmination of really reaping the fruits of our labour, of the summer that we've had. As we move into the more cooler months, we start to slow down, the rhythms of the body start to slow down, we want to come into more of a hibernation. And we tend to find that it's a really nice time to clear the body systems and to let go, to shed anything that's not serving us. So what we've made use of throughout the summer when we were at our peak, now we can start to really shed and release, like the trees releasing their leaves. So throughout the whole of summer, we've really filled our bodies up and nourished ourselves on many levels, where we have more energy, more power to do more and to live more. We're able to really see these fruits of what we've done throughout the more powerful months. And we can take in that nourishment of these warmer times and use them to sustain us as we go into these slower, more introspective and more quiet times. Nice. So we're just going to take around 1 or 2 more breaths here. And then to transition out, bring your right hand again in front of the face and just push into the hand so you can slowly lift up, come to center and realign if you need to adjust the legs, and then we can go straight to the left side. So pad your hands out again, nice long spine, and then we can thread the right arm underneath the left. So we're taking a deeper twist onto the left side. Make any adjustments, feel where it feels right for that left arm to rest. And then finding that stillness and just allowing gravity to stretch you deeper, allowing the support of the floor to hold your body. So the chi, or the energy flow of the spleen and stomach, is directly affected by our diet, what we're eating. And is this fulfilling the body? Is this nurturing our systems? Is this bringing us nourishment? Or is it affecting our chi and throwing us out of balance? So when we eat food, the body translates this as grain chi, and it's sent up into the lungs as a fine mist. It's transported into the lung and turned from food into blood or chi. So the spleen is actually what takes the nourishment, filters from the stomach, all of the nourishing foods, all of the good elements of our food, takes it into the spleen, transfuses it into the blood, into the chi, and then the spleen meridian again carries it out to the muscles and into the rest of the body through the blood. So the spleen chi is actually the governor of the transportation, distribution and the flow of the blood, and it dominates the muscles and is linked to the mouth. So again, this is all about how are we taking in nourishment and releasing what isn't serving us, what isn't working for us, and what is throwing us off of balance. Just here for around another 2 rounds of breath. So same as you came out last time, just slowly transitioning back into a neutral position. So that could be just sitting back onto the heels, or maybe taking all fours or downward facing dog, any movements that might feel nice. So maybe even just pedaling the legs out and stretching into the toes, the feet. Just taking a moment to rebound so the body can come into a nice balance once again. As we transition and move through each posture, just acknowledging what's changing, what's moving in your body. If you're noticing an emotional response, a mental response, if the body's shifting or you're feeling any changes or any areas are showing some sensitivity, just paying attention and really becoming aware of what's going on. It's often in those periods of change that in between when we can start to really gather and acknowledge and notice what is changing in our physical selves and mental emotional selves. Nice. So from here, we're going to come into a nice lunge to stretch the left quad first. So we want to step forward with the right foot first. You might want to use a blanket underneath your left knee, or maybe a bolster or a cushion underneath the knee or the front of the thigh. So I'm mainly working in this one to stretch your left thigh, and then we're going to add into that a twist. So you can either work from the floor with your hands either side of your front foot. If that feels okay, you can pause there. Maybe it might feel nice to bring your hands onto a bolster, so you're a little bit more lifted, or some blocks to lift you up a little bit higher. I like to push back from the front thigh and lift my body up. So I'm pushing away, and I feel a really deep stretch in the left thigh. That's where I feel it most when I'm in a lifted position. So just find wherever feels best for you. Make any final changes and adjustments, and then we're going to be here for about 2 minutes. Nice. So the meridian lines that we're working, the spleen is the yin, so it travels up the body. So it starts on the big toe, and the energy pathway travels up the inside of the legs, all the way up to the groin, and it cuts into the body through the groin, into the stomach and spleen on the left side, through the diaphragm, the heart, up through the throat, and then it ends at the root of the tongue. So that's the spleen, the yin line traveling up the body. And then the yang pair, which is the stomach, it starts at the just either side of the nose, and then it travels down through the mouth, through the throat, cuts through the diaphragm again, through the stomach, the spleen, and then it cuts down and it goes either side along the top of the thigh. So this is where we're working in this stretch particularly. It travels all the way down and it ends in the second toe. So they're the lines that we're trying to really open and expand into. We're just here for about another 10 seconds or so. And then we're going to turn it into a twist from here. So if you want to come into a slightly lesser stretch for a twist, you can bring your left hand to the floor on the inside of your right foot, just to the side, and start to lean from your right hand and push back, so you're turning here. So you've got a nice twist in the body and the shoulder. If you want to increase it, you can reach back towards your back leg. If you want a slightly deeper, more compressive twist, come up to a lifted position. I'm going to turn the body as we exhale, and then hook the left elbow on the outside edge of the right knee, and try to pull the prayer in towards the heart. So you're really turning from the navel point, and you're opening the chest by pushing the hands together. And then if it feels nice for the neck, look towards the back of the mat. Just here for about another minute and a half. So breathe into the belly and really allow the belly to inflate as you inhale. And then draw the navel back to the spine as you exhale the breath. Just the last 30 seconds here. Finding that steadiness, spaciousness, and easefulness. So we can slowly de-rotate. We're going to keep the right leg at the front and shift it over to the left side of your mat. You're going to come into swan from here. So you might want to use some cushions underneath your sit bones. We're going to stretch the left leg back, take the right foot all the way over to the left side of your mat, and then let the knee drop down to the floor. So your front leg is, the shin is parallel to the top of your mat. If that feels nice to have a support under your hip, that's perfect to work from here. Or you might like to bring the bolster onto your arms so you can rest your forearms down here. If that's a little bit too strong to work with the hips straight. Let your body come down onto the floor. So you're letting all of your weight drop onto your right leg. The front leg is parallel still, but the back leg is slightly more in towards the body. So it's not as deep of a stretch in that back leg, it's more of a bend. And then you can start to twist your body and then place your belly down onto that thigh. So you're still getting a nice deep stretch, but it's not as intense on the back leg. If that's still too strong, just come down onto your back and work from a figure 4. So either here, or you can bring your hands through, holding here or here, around the back of the thigh. Nice, so just another minute here. So when we're really operating in a good flow of the spleen and stomach meridian lines and the body is working optimally, we feel really full and grounded. We feel very earthy, very, very connected to ourselves. We feel at home in ourselves, and a sensation of being full with life, with what we're giving ourselves, the life that we have, the people that we're surrounded by. Our mind feels full. And also we're able to really retain information. We're able to keep this information in, and it's in its right place because our systems are working in flow. And when we're finding that all our systems are in harmony and balance, we're able to think very clearly, and we have that element of discernment. And we're able to really see the truth in what's happening and able to choose wisely and choose from a center of knowing, of trusting in ourselves, because we're clear in the mind, clear in our systems. And in turn, because we have that sense of clarity, we're then tuned into the qualities of contentment and ease, which is an inherent characteristic of the spleen and stomach. So when we're feeling content and easeful, we know that these systems are really working in harmony. So we're just going to take a final round of breath here. And then just slowly start to pad yourself back up onto your hands if you allowed yourself to come down to the floor. We're going to tuck the back toe in, lift the back knee up, and then either step into all fours or downward facing dog. If you want to take a child's pose here, you can do that. Just a small rebound in between before we come and do the other side. Nice. And then when you're ready, just move any props out of the way if they're in your way. And we're going to step the left foot forward and coming into a lunge to dragon on this side. So again, it might feel nicer on this side to have your hands down on the floor or maybe up on some blocks to lift you up slightly higher. Maybe you want the bolster for the back leg. Maybe you feel like you need to drop deeper into the hip, or coming up to a more lifted position. We always want to work in balance rather than in perfect symmetry. So whatever the body needs on each side, we have to honor what it needs to reach its edge, to reach the most depth in the stretch. It may not look exactly the same on both sides. Just coming through the last minute. So just taking a final round of breath here before we come into the twist. And then either bringing your right hand down to the floor, and you can either open out from here or bring your hand onto the thigh and turn and twist from here. Maybe even reaching back, might feel quite nice. Or if you want, again, that deeper twist, lifting up, twist to the side as you exhale, hook the right elbow, prayer the hands, and then turn from the navel. So you're really twisting through the center of the body and pushing the hands together to open the chest. And then breathe into your belly. Nice deep belly breaths. So as we twist and turn through our physical body, we're signaling to the body to rebalance the energies, masculine and feminine, and helping the body to come back into the central channel. So always finding as much length and space in the spine as we can, keeping the spine in integrity. But whatever we do to the body, we're going to do to the mind. So by balancing the masculine and feminine energies on a physical and energetic level, by twisting, then we start to feel this balance in the mind. And this is how we start to come back into that central point, that clarity of vision, of perception, and we feel harmonious. So when in doubt, twist it out. Twists are amazing for everything. Just the last couple of breaths here. Nice. And then with your next inhalation, you can slowly de-rotate. Bring your hands down to the floor, and then we're going to step back. Oh no, sorry, we're going to switch the right leg, left leg over to the right side, and then let the knee come down to the floor. Working into swan. So either from a more neutral position, or if you want to bring your hips up a little bit higher, thread cushion, bolster underneath. Maybe even dropping down onto the side of the hips so you've got that nice opening in the back leg. Or you can come onto your back and work through figure 4. And then either staying in a more lifted position, or you can work yourself down towards the floor and finding a bit more of a compression here. I'm not sure that this posture ever gets easier, I'm sorry to say. First, focusing on the breath and allowing all of the muscles to soften, relax, and let yourself drop into it. Really surrender to the earth. The spleen and stomach is linked to the earth element. That sense of feeling connected to the world around us, feeling at home in ourselves. And it's the stomach and spleen is the link between the self and the outside world. So transforming food into nourishment for ourselves, for our mind. How do we take in energy, information, and transform it into something of benefit for us to use to progress and further on? How do we assimilate that information and get rid of what we don't need and bring in more of what we do? Let's just last 20 seconds or so. So if you came down onto your hands or forearms, just slowly start to pad yourself back up. You're going to come to either all fours or a child's pose, or if you're on your back, just come into hug the knees into the chest. So you can slowly draw the back knee in, take the foot over towards the left, and then step it back. Slowly move anything out of the way and come into a rebound. Anything that feels good to rebalance your body. Nice, just taking another 2 rounds of breath. And then we're going to come into another painful stretch, I'm sorry. We're moving into saddle from here. So you might want to use a nice bit of propping behind you to set up for this one. I put either some bricks or some cushions underneath my bolster or a long pillow. And then you can use a blanket or another pillow underneath your head. So you want to bring your sit bones down to the floor. And if that is already uncomfortable, then just grab a blanket or a pillow underneath your seat. But you want the heels next to your hips, so they're on the outside of your leg. And just shimmy yourself back so that you're right up and your sacrum is on the bolster or cushions. And then you can lean back and rest your body onto the support of the cushions, bolster, blanket. If that feels okay and you want to take it lower, then just release some props out of the way and take it closer to the floor to get more of a deeper stretch in the hip flexor, which is really nice to do. If you don't have loads of props, then you can work on the floor. And this might feel more comfortable for some people to have your body grounded on the earth, and then you can make a pillow with one forearm and draw the other foot into the heel. So just working one foot at a time and pulling the leg into the sit bone so you feel your hip bones push towards the floor and get a nice deep stretch again through the front line of the thigh. We're going to be here for 5 minutes. We're about half a minute in already. So just find whichever position fits best for today, and I will let you know when we're halfway through so you can switch legs if you're taking one option. So when we're not operating out of harmony and balance in this system, we really are affected on a lot of other levels, because this is nourishing us at an energetic level. If we don't get in the right nourishment for ourselves, for our body to operate, to our functions to be able to work fully, then the whole system starts to feel fatigued, weak, lacking in vitality and energy, because we're not drawing in the right nutrients from the food. So our cells will then not have the energy to be able to perform their tasks. So they can also feel a sensation of dullness or our rhythms being off. The body's just really working at a slower pace. We find it difficult to wake up. We find it difficult to sustain tasks for a long period of time. We feel that it's hard to retain information in terms of memory recall. We find it really hard to assimilate information on a mental level and take in and hold that information. Also on an emotional level, we're finding that we worry quite a lot. There's propensity for anxiety or obsessive thinking, also rigidity and inflexibility of the mind. And on the physical level, we notice cold hands and feet because the energy is not being distributed out properly, the blood is not being transported properly, so the nourishment of the energy that we're receiving is not reaching the full capacity of the body, so the hands and feet lose that vitality, and we end up with cold hands and feet. You can also see ulcers in the mouth as it's linked with the mouth. We notice that we don't taste as well as it's linked in with the tongue and sense of taste. And some issues with weight disorders, infertility, and just a general feeling of ungroundedness. So we're 2.5 minutes in. If you've taken one leg, you can release that leg and then draw the opposite leg in towards your sit bones. And if you're in saddle, full variation, then we're here for another 2.5 minutes. Just here for another 2 rounds of breath. So we're going to come into rebound just to recline the body. So you can either lay on your front or lay on your back. So if you're laying on your front already, you can just release your legs and make a pillow of your hands, or bring your hands beside your hips and turn your face to the side. If you're laying on your back in the full saddle variation, just bring your hands beside your hips and slowly lift your head up. Keep chin tucked to chest, and then you can come over onto all fours. Take any stretches, maybe in downward facing dog if that feels good, or pedaling the legs. And then you can move any equipment out of the way and lay yourself down either on your front or your back. Just take your time. We've got a little bit more time in between this and the next one. So wherever you are, we're going to come to lay down on our backs to come into a nice deep twist. So we can work, we're going to work to twist to the left to begin with. So if you come to lay onto your back, hug your knees into the chest, give yourself a nice big squeeze. And then we're moving into cat pulling its tail. So we want to just shift the hips slightly over to the right side and then let the knees drop over to the left. Keep your right leg where it is, and then we're splitting the legs and sending the left leg back. So you may need to shuffle a little bit more onto that left hip, and we're aiming to grab the foot. And then you can use your left hand to hold a weight onto the right thigh. You may also want to use a bolster underneath that right knee, if that feels good, to support the leg. And then we can really turn from the navel, turn through the upper back. So you've got both shoulders down onto the floor. If you haven't, just grab a blanket or some cushions and bring that underneath you to support you. And if it feels good to twist all the way through the neck, you can look over your right shoulder. And then again, breathe into the belly. If it doesn't feel good to take the left foot round, and just allow it to extend out long and coming into a half twist. If you can grab the foot, you're going to add a little bit more of an additional stretch onto the quad, and you can work to push the foot away and pull the foot in with your hand. So you've got a nice bit of tensegrity there in the stretch, and it will allow you to twist a bit deeper. So it really is crucial for the support of the spleen and stomach to eat a diet that is nourishing to our bodies. Because if we're eating foods that aren't supporting us, then it's going to throw this meridian line out of balance and thus affect the rest of the body. So although working into this meridian line through the postures and through Yin Yoga is so beneficial, so helpful, we also have to take action in looking at what it is that we're ingesting. So on a physical level, the foods we're eating. On a mental level, what is it that we're consuming in what we're viewing, we're reading, we're watching, we're listening to? What are the types of situations we find ourselves in? So we're going to slowly come out of this side. You can let your left leg go first, so you're just releasing the left leg out long. Slowly look back to the center, and then as you inhale, release your right leg out. Just take a moment in Shavasana, in the center. If you took any props, we can move those over to the opposite side now. And then just shift your hips over slightly to the left side of your mat. We're going to bring the legs into the body, let them drop over to the right side now, come into a twist. Hold on to the left side thigh with your right hand. Send your right foot back behind you. Again, you may need to shuffle and move through the hips to feel that alignment in the spine. Maybe adding a bolster underneath your left knee. And then finding the right foot with the left hand. Shuffle through the shoulder blades, through the center of the body, turn and look over the left shoulder. This is such a good deep twist, and it really opens up the front line of the body as well. We've got the back foot. Cat pulling its tail, it's a lovely one. So some really good questions to ask ourselves to see really whether this meridian system is out of balance or if we're finding any disharmony in this meridian pathway. When have you been unable to commit something to memory? When have you gone blank during a presentation or a test, or even just during conversation? When have you felt stuffed after eating? When have you been obsessed with worry? When have you felt too weak to do anything? Also linking in with sense of care and feeling isolated because we're not feeling at home in ourselves or grounded. So when have you felt that no one cared about you? And also linking in with earth, links in with our connection to our Mother Earth, and also our biological mothers. And in turn, how do we mother ourselves? So it begs the question, how did your mother take care of you? And how our parenting will reflect how we take care of our own selves. When we're imbalanced in this meridian system as well, we're always looking for something sweet. So that groundedness looks for a sweet taste. So when have you eaten sweets as self-medication for stress? And what experiences could you simply not digest? So these are really interesting questions to ask ourselves to really see whether this system is out of balance and whether we could do more twisting, more opening of the quads, the inner thighs, to really help bring this back into balance. And also marry that with taking a look at our digestion and what's happening with the foods we're eating. How does our body respond to the foods that we take in? And what maybe could we give up so that we're really moving into positive choices? Just a couple more breaths here. So we're going to slowly release the right foot. You can extend the leg out long. Turn the head back through to center. And then as you inhale, de-rotate, come out of the twist and extend your left leg out long. Just coming into Shavasana with the legs out long or feet to the floor, knees bent, and just pause in here for a moment. Let yourself rest. So then we can hug the knees into the chest, just finding some symmetry and rebalancing the body here. And the final shape we're going to finish in is butterfly. So you can either work from a lifted position, coming up to a seat. Maybe it might feel good to have a bolster or cushions underneath the knees to support. And maybe hold on to the feet or the shins and fold in either in a nice deep fold, or more just holding onto the feet and allowing your body to come slightly further forward. If you don't want to work with a bolster, you can just keep the feet close into the body, working a bit deeper into the groin and really pushing the knees down, maybe stretching the spine up or half hinging forward. Or if you want to recline the shape, we're still working that inner leg line, but it's not as strong for the groin. You can always come down into a reclined position and work with a bolster or some bricks underneath your knees just to take that support. And so just taking a final round of breath. There you are. And next inhalation, gently lifting yourself back up. You can use your hands underneath the knees to gently guide the knees back up to center and hug them into the chest. So just pausing here for a moment. And then when you're ready, we're going to make our way into Shavasana. So just setting yourself up with either a blanket underneath the head or a cushion, maybe a bolster underneath the knees. Just make sure your feet, your heels are on the floor if you have a bolster. If you want to turn the lights off or dim lights or grab something to cover the eyes, you can do that too. And maybe a blanket over the body or some extra clothing just to stay warm. Going to be here for about 5 minutes or so. If you need to make any final movements, maybe hugging the knees into the chest or taking some back rolls, anything before you come down to rest, please feel free to. And then just settling yourself into Shavasana. Allowing yourself to really take up space. And in that space, allow gravity to completely hold your body, dropping into that support beneath you. And breathing into the belly. Allowing the belly to expand and inflate as you inhale. And as you exhale, feel a nice sinking sensation in the belly. And sensation of gravity completely drawing your body down into that support. Heavy limbs, muscles relaxed, and breath effortless. Very gradually beginning to deepen in an exhale. Just feeling some energy move into your body a little bit more deeply as you wiggle the fingers and toes. Maybe circle the wrists, the ankles, turn the head side to side. Any stretches that feel nice to bring some movement back into the body. And then when you're ready, you can slowly start to bring yourself up onto your side. Just pause in. And then when you're ready, slowly pressing yourself up to a lifted seat. Maybe bringing yourself up onto a bolster, some bricks, some cushions, so you feel comfortable through the seat. And closing down through the eyes, just drawing your attention back inward. And come back to your breath. Feel the belly expanding as you inhale. And drawing back to enable you to exhale the breath. And take a moment to really tune into how your body, your mind is feeling. Sense of balance and harmony in both body and mind. And simply watching the breath here. Noticing the breath moving in through both nostrils, down into the belly, filling up into the chest. And then that feeling of descending from chest to belly as you exhale the breath out. As we nourish and replenish the energy systems, so too will this change the mental formations, remove any blockages from the mind, from the physical body, and bring us back into that state of total balance, total harmony, so that we may experience that contentment and ease, that fullness from life, and that sense of groundedness. Bringing hands into prayer, rest the thumbs onto the heart space. So offering gratitude to our bodies, to our prana, to our minds, and to these practices of yoga. They really are a guidebook into life, how to use the body, how to balance ourselves, and how to live fully. And we offer them humble gratitude. Namaste.